Run Chicken claims that this is pest proof on their website. Excuse me, sir. Can I help you? You want to be part of this video? All right. I really don't want to be that person who leaves a bad review, but I'm going to be returning my Run Chicken automatic feeder, and here's why. I'm super sad about it because I was really excited about getting it and setting it up. But I got it for a few specific reasons, and it just really let me down in a couple really important areas. So it's not worth the cost, in my opinion, because of those things. But first, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can see more of these very beautiful chickens. I also have horses and 3 cats and a rescue pit bull. Also, if you like it, do your girl a favor and hit that like button. All right, without any further ado, let's get into it. So I really trusted this company because I have their automatic door and it's worked super well for me. I've had it for a little bit over 2 years. I haven't had any issues. It was really easy to set up. So I'm not trying to say this company is bad as a whole. I just think they missed the mark a little bit. And with a few tweaks to this automatic feeder, I think it could be amazing. In my last setup, I had a really big issue with rats. A lot of that was due to the location that I was in. It already had a ton of rats far before I had chickens. But when I got chickens, it did not take long for those rats to move in and figure out that they had access to a 5-star bed and breakfast. Word spread, and I ended up also having a ton of squirrels. This is nothing against rats and squirrels as animals. I think they're adorable and amazing little critters. I just don't want them around my chickens. I ended up having so many that I had to downgrade my chicken food because it was so expensive to feed all the rats and squirrels in addition to my chickens. So when I moved and rebuilt my setup, I was determined to take extra precautions to try to prevent that from happening again. Do you want down? Yeah, okay. You want down? You want up? So the main reason I initially decided to make the investment in this feeder is because it claims that it is pest proof on its website. As you can see, it's pretty easy to open. It's just a magnet on top. So I don't know how strong raccoons are, but I would bet that this wouldn't take very much for them to figure out how to open. However, my run is totally raccoon proof, so that's not what I was worried about. I'm mainly worried about rats and mice. The area that's really concerning to me is this little lid. It is automated and it opens and closes either on a timer, daylight, or you can do it from your phone. Love all of that. But there's a little thing that pushes the door up and then it just retreats and the door falls down. And I thought there would be something that actually latches the door down, but there's not. And look how easy this is. Rats are so smart. This would not take more than one attempt for a rat to figure out that it can just put its little head in here and lift this up. I did noodle around with it a little bit, and I found out that part of the reason for this is that it's slightly kind of disoriented. This is off like a centimeter or something, and the lid is actually supposed to go all the way in. I just clicked it in, and when it does, then you can't get your finger in there and get it up. So if it were sitting correctly, it would probably go all the way down and stay down. I wanted this to work so badly that I honestly probably would have just worked with customer support and either asked for a replacement or even tried to disassemble it and reassemble it to just get it set up perfectly so the lid closes all the way. But here's what was the second deal breaker for me: the food spillage. The food spillage out of this is so extreme that I put a bowl underneath of this, and within half a day there was already enough food in that bowl to feed my flock for the day. So there's not really a point in having a feeder that closes when after it closes there's still a full bowl that they have access to, and any other critter basically has an all-you-can-eat buffet. I might as well just put feed in a bowl at that point and get a $15 feeder, which is what I ended up doing. The way that this area is set up is basically a recipe for food spillage. First of all, there's a huge gap and there's 2 small gaps on the side. Also, the lip is really, really short and it's a gravity feeder, so it's gonna fill up pretty high, and as you know, chickens do pull food out, so there's not really any extra room that buffers the space between the feed and the point where it can be pulled out. You can see that gap right there. You can see that it's just not very high where the feed sits. That's like 2 inches max. That might even be an inch and a half. Yeah, that's probably an inch and a half. So for that reason alone, in my opinion, until they figure out a way to have less feed spillage, this feeder is not worth it. It would basically become a daily chore for me to have to go in every day and take that bowl that filled up and then pour it back into the feeder. Again, at that point, I might as well just do it manually myself. Okay, so I'm not trying to get like gossipy. The last thing that I'm going to touch on that kind of bothered me is their return policy and the customer support. So I should say that in order to return this, it has to be unused and it has to be in its original packaging. I did use it for like half a day, okay? A girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. I'm a mother, okay? I think it's kind of silly that you're not able to test it out. I did not do anything to damage this product. It's in perfect condition. I'm going to clean it, disinfect it really, really well. In order to return it, you don't just like automatically get a return granted. You have to send them the reason why, you have to send them photos, and they withhold the address and any other information about returning it until it's kind of like pre-approved for return. And it was kind of a lot of back and forth emailing wise. I'd say it's definitely not been just like an easy, oh, I'll just return it type situation, which I do understand. Smaller companies have to put guidelines and boundaries in order to protect themselves because not everybody is Amazon. We do live in the day and age where we're super spoiled with being able to return things like that. So there is a flip side to it. I get that. But when I emailed them about the food spillage, when they requested the reason why I was returning it, I explained that they suggested that I change my food to a bigger size. First of all, I've done a lot of research about the type of food that I feed my chickens. So just like changing my food would be actually a really big thing. And trying to find food that's like bigger would also be a thing. You'd have to go on like a wild goose chase and like order different foods to see if there were like pellets or mixes that had bigger grains and things that wouldn't slip out. I just don't want extreme food spillage out of my $200 feeder. I don't think I'm asking too much, and I don't think that I should have to change the feed that I'm really happy feeding my chickens on in order to make this feeder work. I'm not trying to trash talk the company. I just wish that I would have known these things before I ordered it and went through all of this hassle. I eagerly awaited it. I was so excited. I was tracking it. I told my mom that I ordered the feeder and I like invested in this nice pest-proof feeder because it is an investment. $200 is not nothing. Definitely not nothing. There are way cheaper feeders. All of that being said, if they made these tweaks, I would revisit this feeder. There's so much about it that I love. It's just those couple things that are absolute deal breakers for me. If they make it so this had an actual latch on it, I mean, it would be so simple, just like just some sort of latch that makes it, because you have to manually open this anyway, so why not put a latch on it instead of a magnet? And then making it so the configuration of this wasn't so hard for it to fit in this little slot, so it did stay down and honestly kind of like locked down, not just like relied on it being too far in for a rat to pull it up. And then if they figured out the feed spillage issue by filling in those gaps and making more of a buffer between where the food is and where it's pulled out. My options are limited with feeders because I have a rooster with a really large comb, and I don't if anybody else has run into this, please let me know, but I have found it extremely difficult to find feeders that can also accommodate to him, because all those gravity feeders that are like tubes, the rooster can't stick his head in, and the feeders with the little holes, they can't always get all the way in. Even in this one, he has to turn his head sideways a little bit, but the opening was like nice and big and it wasn't too far in, so I figured he could probably figure it out. But finding a feeder for roosters with large combs and wattles actually presents sort of a challenge, and there's definitely an oversight in the feeder market for roosters. Please let me know if you agree so I know that I'm not alone in that. Thanks so much for watching. Again, don't forget to subscribe, give it a like, share it with a friend, and let me know in the comments if you've tried the Run Chicken Feeder and if you have similar or different experiences with it. I'm Madeline, this is Earthlings Uncaged, and I'm passionate about keeping animals safe and happy. Okay, let's go to bed.